Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
The Spurs were fighting for their lives, and it showed for Wemby and Crew in Game 3. With some of the wind knocked out of their sails, the Knicks now try to rally a bit with another game at MSG coming. And after Brendan Sorsby was reinstated, despite gambling on his own games, Big 12 teams are already saying they won't face Texas Tech this season. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Head to FanDuel.com to get started.
I'm Peter Bukowski, starting your day with the can't-miss stories and biggest debates in sports. You're Locked On Sports Today.
Searching all major sports. Found.
Let's start with the biggest story.
A 42-point second quarter gave the New York Knicks a 7-point lead in Game 3, and it looked like we were headed for a sweep. Then the San Antonio Spurs defense cranked up. They allowed 47 total the entire second half, and they score a 115-111 victory in a thrilling road win in Game 3. Matthew Tynan from Locked On Spurs joins me now. Matthew, not a single home winner in this series yet. What was the difference in that second half for San Antonio?
Yeah, I think that, San Antonio has sort of shown a tendency throughout the entirety of the postseason to sort of ease themselves into series. Like, I think you and I have talked about this before, but like the areas that they lack experience, they kind of gain it as the series goes along, and they are playing their best basketball by the end of the series. And I thought that they were, like you mentioned their defense. I thought that the way that they absolutely locked in and were able to, for the most part, like there were obviously a few moments here and there where Victor Wembanyama was pulled away from the paint, away from the rim. But I thought their rotations and their switching and this, what's required of you to keep your big man near the rim, I thought they did a great job. There was a lot of discipline in those rotations. And then, the simple thing is, they were able, for the most part, and have been for that matter, for the most part, this series, they've been able to guard Jalen Brunson straight up, kind of one-on-one. And when you have this bevy of players that can give him problems, from Castle to Harper, hell, even De'Aaron Fox, not a very big guy, but he stays attached. And he had a big pickpocket at one point in the game of Jalen Brunson.
And a huge bucket late.
And a huge bucket late, just a massive bucket late. And I'm sure we'll get to that in a second. But I thought that the defense overall, and it's going to be interesting to watch in this series going forward, is can Jalen Brunson hang in there all game? Because he is being hounded 94 feet every single possession. They have someone on him. They're going to try to hunt like Julian Champagnie as much as they can when he's on the court, because he just hasn't been able to. Jalen Brunson loves something about that matchup. But other than that, I think just the way San Antonio is making Brunson work. And by the end of the game, Victor Wembanyama is locked in. And man, that defense was suffocating toward the end of the game for sure.
Jalen Brunson did get his 32, but it took 25 shots. He has not been efficient in this series at all. And the shooting has been a big thing, right? Until OG Anunoby hit that three late. The Knicks, I believe, were 0 for their first 10 3-pointers after shooting the absolute cover off the basketball.
Yeah, in the fourth quarter.
Postseason here.
Yeah.
So there is a little bit of make you miss, but it did strike me, Matt, in the fourth quarter, how many of those 3-pointers seemed rushed. And my first thought was that is a direct result of worrying about Victor Wembanyama and whether that's coming out to contest threes because he can do that, or, hey, this might be the best shot we can get because if I dribble drive, if I pump fake and now drive it, I know I'm getting erased by Wemby. You could feel his presence even in 3-point shots where he's 20 feet from the player.
So there has been a common theme that I've noticed from these teams over the course of, like, whether it be Portland, Minnesota, Oklahoma City, the commitment that you have to have and the focus that you have to continue to attack Victor over and over and over again. It seems relentless, and it seems just mentally exhausting, because by the end of, like, the Oklahoma City series, for example, you go back to those final, whatever it was, 5 or 6 minutes when Victor checked in with 5 fouls, guys would drive and then U-turn or kick out. Nobody. And he had 5 fouls.
Right.
Nobody wanted any part of it. So there is this sort of grating reality that guy is back there and you have to deal with it all series long. It becomes almost demoralizing at a point. Like, I'm not sure what Landry Shamet was trying on that pump and go, that drive. It's like he thought he had him.
I feel bad for laughing, but it felt comical in the moment. It really did.
It's like, what are you doing, man? And even Legler on the broadcast was like, man, you got to do, that's way too casual. You got to use the rim for your protection, yada, yada, yada. But there is a very real and sound strategy to attacking Wembanyama over and over and over and over again. It's like, it's one of those things where you have to do it, because if you start to play into his hands and you afford him space and room to operate on the defensive side of things, he's eventually going to, like, his little bubble is just going to slowly start to expand, and it's going to start pushing you out more and more if you decide you want to stop attacking. But it takes resilience and discipline and commitment to just do it over and over again. And that's one of the major reasons why it's so exhausting to play San Antonio.
Stay up to date all year on the San Antonio Spurs by subscribing to Locked On Spurs on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. We're Locked On Sports today. Coming up, the Knicks can still put this final series to bed. Before we get to that, a World Cup referee denied entry to the United States. The NBA Finals are in full swing, where every possession matters, every matchup is magnified, and every game can swing a series. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a great way to get in on the action. You can bet just $5 and get 150 bonus bets if that first bet wins. The app makes it easy to follow the action with player stats, trends, and matchups all in one place. And during the finals, that extra insight really matters when you're looking at stars, role players, and key moments. It just makes the entire playoff experience more engaging from start to finish. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel, play your game. The Kansas City Chiefs are signing a familiar face in cornerback L'Jarius Sneed. It's a one-year deal worth up to $5 million, reuniting Sneed with the team that drafted him in 2020. The Chiefs traded Sneed to the Titans in 2024 after placing the franchise tag on him that season. The Titans released Sneed on March 13th of this year in a move that saved the team $11.4 million in salary cap space. Somali referee Omar Artan has denied entry into the United States after getting selected to officiate the World Cup. U.S. Customs and Border Protection confirmed Monday that a Somali national who was planning to referee the World Cup had been denied entry after arriving at Miami International Airport from Istanbul. CBP said in its statement, following inspection, the traveler, a referee for the FIFA World Cup, was determined to be inadmissible due to vetting concerns and was denied entry. CBP noted that travelers seeking entry into the U.S., including athletes, coaches, and staffs, are subject to CBP inspection and vetting. Somalia is on the U.S. list of banned countries for immigration, although exceptions can be made. The Vegas Golden Knights are up 2-1 in the Stanley Cup Final, and our Locked On Golden Knights host thinks Mitch Marner's name can already be carved in the Conn Smythe Trophy.
They might have started inscribing his name on the Conn Smythe Award. He started
-210 on FanDuel, -210 right now.
He started his scoring with an own goal, just flipped it in on net off of Sean Walker and into the net. Marner's second goal, he was stopped on the first shot, stays with it, scores on the rebound on the feet from McNabb, and then Marner on a breakaway scores his 10th goal of the playoffs.
And we told you yesterday about Nelly Corda's thrilling U.S. Open victory. Her closest competitor, Charlie Hull, the cigarette-smoking, outfit-posting, social media star of the LPGA Tour. She had a unique perspective on what helped her chase a major. After edging out the Spurs in games 1 and 2 down in San Antonio, Jalen Brunson and the Knicks could not close late in game 3 back home. Locked On Knicks host Gavin Shaw and XJ reacted to the loss and what it means as game 4 looms on Wednesday night.
Well, I mean, there were a lot of things that happened tactically, in my opinion, some really smart adjustments from Mitch Johnson. And I wouldn't even say Mike Brown got out-coached or anything like that. I thought he did some good stuff. But besides everything that really went on, at the end of the day, the Knicks still stayed attached. They were still super close in this game. And despite, I think, being sort of outmaneuvered, and it just ended up being that the Spurs made some really big time shots and the Knicks just couldn't. I'm so used to seeing, and we're also used to seeing at the ends of games, it just feels like when the Knicks get that momentum on their side, they start hitting buckets. Brunson comes down, makes a shot. They get a big defensive play. They get a turnover. Things start going their way. And that just didn't happen in this game. It was like the air, you're holding your breath and you're expecting, to celebrate at some point. On some level, they've conditioned us to believe they're going to be able to find a way to get it done almost every single time. And you're holding your breath and it's just like, I'm still holding my breath. Like I am not able to exhale at any point, and they just could not get over the hump towards the end of the game. So there was definitely tactics and stuff that we're going to talk about and dive into because, I've been trying to get people to think about the things that at least that San Antonio can do. And I've just been like kind of getting spat at of there's nothing they can do. The Knicks are going to win. The Knicks are destined to win this series. And that may be the case, but they still have to get it done on the actual court. And there are tactics and there's a chess match that is underway. The Knicks will have to make the next move, and hopefully it's the right one to get them back in control.
I mean, to your point, the Knicks go 0 for 9 from 3 in the fourth quarter until those final 2 shots, the Brunson pull up and then the just insane OG Anunoby one in the corner. I told you right before we started recording, I just started laughing when he made that shot. Like, all right, maybe the basketball god just won't let them lose a game. And you give credit to obviously Steph Castle, like the one to end the shot clock when the Knicks were within 4. Just an absolute backbreaker from a guy who's not normally a good shooter. Like give him credit. He had offensively, defensively, he's been great. Obviously, offensively, he had really struggled the first 2 games, and he was amazing in this one. And then the De'Aaron Fox pull up, another guy who's been getting clowned and has had his struggles and has been inconsistent and probably hasn't played up to his potential. He makes that big foul line pull up that functionally ends the game. On top of Dylan Harper, just a rookie, making 2 free throws. Dylan Harper's ridiculous. It does not seem like he is a rookie. And the Knicks in the fourth quarter, like the two looks that I think just break their back in terms of potentially winning this game. The Landry Shamet corner 3 in transition with, I think it was about 6-7 minutes left in the game, wide open shot. He just made 100% of the time in the playoffs. Like the open back-breaking Shamet 3 always goes in. Off night for him, was a little rushed initially earlier in the game. That one goes in and out. And then Cat gets that left wing 3, also wide open, also halfway down and out. Just one of those nights. The Knicks have had a lot of in and outs over this series, and it didn't cost them in the first 2 games. Tonight it cost them. But to get to my thesis, my broad theory of how this is going, and I want you to poke some holes in this or tell me if it's not complete enough. But what I think is fundamentally happening is the Spurs have doubled down on their ball pressure. And it was something I talked about a little bit in our series preview, and I kind of wish I almost, when I talked to Benji Ritholtz, let off with this, because the Knicks, their Achilles heel in the playoffs at times last few years, and they're generally able to overcome it, has been ball pressure. It's why the Pistons series was such a slog. It's why the offense, like until it didn't against the Celtics, but the first 3 quarters, the first 2 games of that series, like it was painful for them at times. Even the Indiana Pacers, right, applying full court ball pressure on the Knicks really hurt them. It hurt the Knicks the first 2 games against the Hawks, and until they figured out, hey, if we play through Cat, like that all goes away. And the Spurs were just way more equipped to play that type of defense versus any team the Knicks have played so far. Steph Castle is an elite point of attack defender. Dylan Harper, like Brunson, like this whole series, not that that's a matchup all the time, because it's usually Castle. I can count on one hand the number of times Brunson has gone at Harper in this series. Like it's impossible for a rookie. It's as impressive to me as anything that Victor Wembanyama is doing. Like Brunson just does not really want to go at him. You combine that with the refs obviously allowing a ton of physicality and a ton of fouls for the Spurs, and the Knicks are doing the same thing with Victor Wembanyama, right? They're fouling off the ball every single second. Like that is just a dynamic that is in this series now. It becomes extremely difficult for Brunson to initiate offense. And I thought first quarter, start of the first quarter, start of the third quarter, start of the fourth quarter, over and over and over again, you see the Knicks getting to their offense 11, 10, 9 seconds on the shot clock. That is something we've seen in the playoffs when Deuce McBride isn't at point guard. I don't think, unless it's an end of game scenario where the Knicks are intentionally milking clock, we've even with the great ball pressure teams we played, we've ever seen that from Jalen Brunson. And it's a unique dynamic in this series that, again, is the conjunction of the ball pressure, the aggression that is being allowed, and Victor Wembanyama just waiting at the rim, right? Which means Brunson cannot turn the corner at full tilt. And whether he's injured, whether he's healthy, like that inherently slows him down a lot. So the counter to that would be play through Cat as a hub. And the Knicks have had a ton of success doing that in this series, whether it's been blown by Wemby or when the smaller guys are on him, like over and over again, he draws fouls. He hit that runner on De'Aaron Fox and then yelled in his face. He can draw a crowd and then spray it out. That should work. The issue is Cat is exhausted because he's playing 38 minutes. He's working 10 times harder on defense than he ever has in life. And at the end of these games, but even in the middle of these games, XJ, he's not fighting for position, both in the post, like he didn't get any of those seals and those lobs over the top that have been there throughout this series and have been good for 4 to 6 points for him in the first 2 games of the series. The offensive rebounding was there, but then it's not really there as much in the fourth quarter because he's just tired and he's not carving out position. And you give the Spurs guards credit. Like, they are tireless. They're fighting extremely hard. They're battling him. And San Antonio has this dynamic where they can go with 4 guards around Wemby because Cat can't punish them for it because he's too tired. And the reason he's too tired is because the Knicks are not comfortable playing Mitchell Robinson because they go down in these games early. And then Mike Brown's like, we're down by 10 when we're scoring 45 points in the second quarter. I can't have Hack-a-Mitch right now. And the Knicks don't trust him to shoot free throws. And I think that has this cascade downwind effect. And my number one adjustment going into game 4 would be like, you're just going to have to like deal with the Hack-a-Mitch. And if he goes 0 for 6, take him out. But try it. See if he could go 2 for 6, 3 for 6, because the guy got 4 offensive rebounds in 7 minutes. Like, I think him against a tired Wemby is a weapon for this offense. And you need Cat to be fresh at the end of these games. Maybe it's OG at the 5. I'm sorry I've been talking for 4 minutes, but to me, like, this is the dynamic for the Knicks on offense for the rest of the series. And if they can't solve it, like, I think the Spurs could win 4 straight. Like, the Knicks were right in this game and they had stupid turnovers. So maybe that is a dumb point, but just so many compensatory things have to go right if the Knicks cannot solve that dynamic.
Stay up to date all year on the New York Knicks by subscribing to Locked On Knicks on your favorite podcast app. Coming up, with Brendan Sorsby reinstated, at least for now, Big 12 teams are making it clear they think this latest ruling is BS. First, a judge blocked Brendan Sorsby's reinstatement to Texas Tech after he admitted to betting on his own games. Now, a judge in Texas has reinstated the reinstatement, and that has Tech's Big 12 rivals pretty ticked off. Drake Toll and Locked On Big 12 have more.
Reactions rolling in from far and wide, as you would expect. Some seem to be voicing opinions or perspectives that would indicate they are brand new to this story as of this week. So we may fill in some of those gaps that are being missed out there. Also want to get to what has been some reaction regarding the decision behind this process or this hearing and this injunction being granted. And of course, some background work then, which may bring into question the credibility of an entire law school elsewhere in the great state. But first, let's get to some reaction from those who are in positions of influence related to either Texas Tech, maybe the NCAA as well. Let's begin with Charlie Baker, who had this to say. There's no better example of why targeted intervention from Congress is necessary when you have schools and deep-pocketed supporters willing to look the other way on the glaring integrity threat of betting on your own team, and judges whose rulings effectively strip away our ability to stop them. Only Congress can equip the NCAA to apply this common sense rule to everyone fairly and consistently. The Protect College Sports Act would empower the NCAA to enforce rules, including the gambling restrictions. It's needed now more than ever. NCAA President Charlie Baker. Kirby Hocutt, Texas Tech Athletics Director, says, as we have said before, we do not believe that the circumstances of Brendan's case warranted permanent ineligibility. As he returns to our football program, we remain committed to supporting Brendan's recovery and ensuring his compliance with the court's order. A comprehensive support structure, including clinical care, monitoring, and compliance checks, will remain fully in place for the duration of Brendan's time as a student at Texas Tech. Also, a statement from Cody Campbell saying, this unfortunate situation is the outcome of a broken system. I'm doing everything I can to fix it, but until there is a permanent solution, Texas Tech and its student athletes have to do the best they can to navigate and compete amid the chaos that exists in the reality of the world we live in. And there are even a few other things said by other parties, Chris, we'll get to in just a minute, but how about some official reaction there?
Which statement do you want to hit first?
How about Charlie's? Let's start with the NCAA.
Yeah, like they've been taking L's in the courts for a while. I mean, you've had, and we'll get to this part in a minute, but you've actually had graduates of some of these schools and some of these eligibility cases and things like that shed tears and all that. Were given extra years away to play, and but it took this case for him to because they actually penned a memo, a letter with mixed reaction to the latest proposed bill that was all being presented by Cruz and Cantwell that we all were talking about last week, and now I guess they have gone, okay, now we just, and then this, this it's clearly a shot at Cody Campbell on the money mention, even though, like, I guess Texas Tech is the only school, again, you continue to be the double standard, but Texas Tech, the only one that has some wealthy donor or donors or whatever. And tying this into Cody's statement, you can accuse him of a variety of things if you want. But what he's referencing is this is the system in place. If we disagree with the ruling, if a student athlete disagrees with the ruling, they go to court and they let a judge decide it. And that's what's happened here. Sorsby was fighting for eligibility, and a judge in Lubbock County, but originally from Fort Worth and with no ties to Texas Tech, with a UTA undergrad and a University of Houston Law School, that graduate, that's who decided this. So that's the system in place that he's referencing. And what Charlie Baker is saying, we have no teeth. Like, I'm just all gums here, man. I got no hair and I'm all gums, and like I can't enforce anything because courts keep it. And it just shows you the hypocrisy of the NCAA. I mean, I think they just ruled on a tampering case involving one of the schools in the Dakotas. Okay. But we're not going to do anything. When Dabo Sweeney had receipts, my guy was sitting in class. He like in my institution, he just signed a new deal, and they're offering $1 million deals. I got receipts for it. What's been done there? Not a damn thing. You're an enforceless. There's no rules if that's the way you want to play, but you can't enforce anything. And so all these cases, because we're getting a lot of reaction from SEC country. And I find that awfully rich. Vanderbilt had an injunction win. Ole Miss had an injunction win. Alabama had an injunction win. I mean, I'm sure I'm missing some.
Wait, is the reaction not admiration? I thought they'd be loving what we're doing out here. This is right from the playbook.
You know what? When in Rome.
But they were clapping. But they don't like this. You're saying they're – oh, okay. That seems strange given their history.
And finally, Alexander Zverev didn't just win his first major championship at Roland Garros on Sunday. The German star became the first player with type 1 diabetes to win a single slam when he beat Flavio Cobolli in the French Open final in 5 sets. Cameras even caught him dosing himself with insulin during a break in play. As a dad with a son who was recently diagnosed T1D, I can tell you with certainty how much a moment like this matters to the millions of people and their families who are living with this disease. And a slam title only serves to put emphasis on the living part. Coming up, it's time for the Knicks to punch back after a disappointing Game 3. So at least until tomorrow, stay locked on sports today.
Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.